the 06010.
What's good, friends? Welcome into Fantasy Focus Football, presented by Little Caesars, alongside Field Yates and Michael Clay. My name is Daniel Dopp. Honestly, a little bummed. Yesterday was a ton of fun having Liz on the show.
Wow.
Now we got to have Mike instead.
Has Liz already flown home?
No, Liz is still here. She's doing work at the mothership right now.
So, like, hypothetically, Liz would have been available for this show.
She would have been, yes.
She's right there. I mean, I could just step out. You wanna,
Yes.
we just check out right
Can we
now?
do a tag team? Can we do like a, were you into tag team wrestling back in the day or just like straight up single person wrestling?
My kids are now getting old enough where they allow me to do fake wrestling moves on them, and it's awesome.
Love that.
But they think it's a game. They're like, this is amazing that you're like, doing like, flips and moonsaults and all this stuff.
Meanwhile, you're like 25-0 against them. They have no idea you've dominated.
Lost.
That's right.
No, really. I'll go take a nap. You want me to? I'll
Yes.
go. I mean,
Yes.
I'm still on that topic. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to
I'll
dive
head
into a bunch of fun stuff today.
Okay.
Very
All
excited
right,
to
then
have
I'll
you
stay,
here.
I guess.
We are
Okay.
excited to have you, Mike. Obviously, we only get to have you a couple of days a week, so pumped to be able to have you here. Shout out to our friends over at Trophy Smack. Visit TrophySmack.com for 10% off. Use the promo code FOCUS10 over there. Today, we're going to dive into some rest of season rankings and how we are looking at players based on the strength of schedule. Mike, yesterday you put out a big strength of schedule update for the rest of the season. So we're going to talk about some guys that we are high or low on based on the rest of the season, as well as some start-sit options for us this week. And we're going to spin the start of the week, the punishment wheel for starts of the week.
Yeah, that works.
Excited to see who gets to spin that.
It's
later
Liz,
on.
but she's not here. So
That's
good
what
call.
it is.
So somebody can spin in Liz's place.
that's right.
Yeah, we'll figure out who that is later on in the show. And shout out to our buddy Eric Moody. Follow him on social media at Eric N. Moody and hang out with him in our YouTube chat. Loves answering the questions, and we love being able to have Eric in there. So shout out to our buddy. Let's dive in right now to our rest of season rankings locks. We're going to use Mike's strength of schedule for the rest of the season to talk about a couple of different people here. We got a guy that we are high on and a guy that we are low on rest of season.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with you, Field Yates, for the guy you're high on first.
Yeah, so I interpreted this as a player that's maybe going to trend up and one who might trend down. I don't want this to be interpreted as this guy goes from wide receiver 40 to wide receiver 8 or something. I also don't want it to be taken as this guy's going to go from wide receiver 8 to wide receiver 40. It might just be a slight uptick or a slight downtick. My player who I think is trending up, though, is Juwan Jennings for the 49ers.
Okay. All right.
I think this weekend we have, I don't think this, Kyle Shanahan has indicated there's this chance that we'll see Brock Purdy this weekend.
Yep.
One way or another, Brock Purdy is coming back relatively soon, whether it's week 9 against the Giants or week 10 for the 49ers. And I think that obviously gives a boost to Juwan Jennings and the entire offense. Mac Jones played really, really well. That being said, Brock Purdy now makes $55 million for a reason. Jennings has just one game all season with 10 or more fantasy points. He is not at the moment viewed as a lineup lock. He's practicing in full now. He was hurt for much of the first half of the season. Brock Purdy is going to come back soon, and they have the eighth easiest schedule going forward for wide receivers, according to Mike Clay, do the 49ers. So Brock Purdy coming back, Jennings getting healthier. He's got back-to-back games with a 23.3% or higher target share. Better schedule going forward makes me feel like Juwan Jennings, who's been so clutch for them for so long, is going to end up being a more effective player. Worth noting that Brandon Ayuk, he might end up practicing at some point. There's no certainty that he practices and then actually plays in games. Feels like eyes are mostly fixed on 2026 for Brandon Ayuk. And as of this conversation, and it could change in 5 hours, there's no sign of Ricky Pearsall on the field at practice for the Niners.
Yeah, he's that guy. There's always guys like this throughout the season every year that you're like, okay, well, he didn't go on IR, so probably a week or two. And then I leave him in the projections, and it's like, nope, out again.
Yep.
But then I have him in there the next week, and then nope, out again. And Pearsall's in there again because I just keep assuming where it just seems like he's 1 week away, but it's that week never comes.
And that, by the way, is how I would go about it as well if I were in your seat here, because the 49ers have not said he's going to be out this weekend. There just seems to be some lack of clarity in terms of his practice status to begin the week. So I do think that Juwan Jennings will trend up as this Niners team, by the way, also playing really consequential football. You know, one of the things that I thought about as I was going through this is, are there guys that are playing well right now that are veterans on poor teams? Like if Calvin Ridley doesn't get traded before next Tuesday's deadline and the Titans continue to struggle, might there be a time later on in the year where Ridley sees his snap percentage go down a little bit, only because it's like, we have to see what we have or more of what we have in Chimere DK and also Alec Iomanner. So Jennings was my first one. You got anybody, Mike, or no?
Yeah, I sure do. A guy that I have ranked fairly high.
Mike said no.
Yeah, I know.
Got anybody, Mike?
I don't.
Nah,
no,
didn't bring one to the table today.
I passed on the assignment.
That sounds like a joke I would make, but not today. I'm here for business, guys. Okay, I wasn't here Monday or Tuesday. As
That's
you
right. As
pointed
I did
out, we
mention,
got to get to
yes.
it. Yeah, a guy that pops out in my rest of season rankings and projections, who might surprise people that he's quite this high, is Jaylen Warren. I think Jaylen Warren is very much in the running back one conversation. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1, but he's been unlucky in that department. His expected total is 2.9. He has 5 carries inside the 5-yard line. Remember, he did miss a game as well, and they've had their bye week on top of that. But he's playing well. 4.5 yards per carry, 8.9 yards per target. He's averaging 13.8 carries and 3.7 targets per game. So that's solid. That works out to 17 touches. And this number might surprise you. How many yards per game do you think he's averaging this season?
74.
I'm going to say 6 or 7.
94.
94 is much higher than I thought.
94 yards per game.
You know, the reason
season.
why I should have known that is I play in one non-PPR league and I have Jaylen Warren, and I'm like, man, this guy every week is pretty good for me.
He just keeps chipping away. And again, he's kind of like below, based on his usage, he should be a little higher. And I think he will get there. Some bad touchdown luck. And a part of the reason he hasn't been where we want him to be is the Steelers have faced the 6th hardest schedule for running backs. Going forward, it projects as the 6th easiest. So it actually frees up for him. So Jaylen Warren is a guy that actually, I feel like the deeper into the year you get, it's harder to find buy lows. I feel like there's a little value on him if you're looking to make a deal. So we're super pumped for him.
What do you got,
Mike, we got just really quickly, while we have this strength of schedule up on our screen for those watching the YouTube, Mike, can you just give us like a quick overview of what the screen is showing us here when we look at it?
Yeah, so if you're looking at the screen, the upper left corner, we'll just start with the Jets right there. You see a 6 in green for year to date for quarterbacks. So they've had the 6th easiest schedule for quarterbacks so far this season. And then right next to it is for quarterbacks rest of season. It's at 19th. So kind of a mid-pack schedule going forward for Tyrod Taylor or Justin Fields, whoever's under center. Right next to that, actually, just to give you a better indicator there, the Jets running backs so far have had the easiest schedule so far this season, and it gets a little tougher going forward. So that's laid out for all 6 of the key fantasy positions.
Love that. All right, go check that out. Not only is it available on your social media at Mike Clay NFL.
Yeah, it's on the web now. This is the
website.
First week. I post it every week on social, starting with like week 5 once we have a good sample. But now we built the page on ESPN.com, so you can just go there and check that out every single week.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
You're a sicko.
Yes.
Kickers?
Yeah, I saw
You've
that.
got kickers in there.
Yeah.
Who has the easiest schedule going forward for kickers? Do you know?
The easiest schedule for kickers is the Patriots, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And by the way,
The
their
rookie.
kicker is all of a sudden money.
Yeah. Well, that's, in kicker, there is a little bit of correlation with schedule because, the easier the schedule, the more likely the kicker is to score points. I mean, fantasy.
What
it's
an
hard
opportunity for the Patriots right now, man. 6-2.
Light schedule. Yeah.
Light schedule. Quarterback is the real deal. Who is your pick for a player who's stock up for the rest of the
You probably don't even need to kick if you're the Patriots, knowing that Drake May's deep ball is so good. Dang,
Oh, yeah.
You got that.
Listen, I did it a little bit differently than you guys.
Okay.
Because I looked at it from the start of the season to where we're at now, and do I think it's going to continue? So, like, from where we started to where I am now.
Okay.
And my player that I am highest on is going to continue to stay high, I think we've already talked about him, is Javonte Williams. Came in as a mid-tier RB2, probably actually a low-end RB2 or a flex option in the...
Probably at best low-end RB2.
Correct,
right?
with the way that we thought this passing game was going to be great, and the way that we look at this, and the reason why I think this is going to continue is because of 3 things. We're looking at, is he getting playing time? With that playing time, is he getting the opportunities, or is he having to split time with other people, and then is he taking advantage of that opportunities and turning it into production? He's on the field 74% of the snaps. That's the 6th most amongst running backs so far this year. There is no, we've seen a little bit of Jaden Blue come on the last couple of weeks.
I don't know. This is the week. Rashard Smith and Jaden Blue. I'm starting them both. And Bashal Tootin.
Nope.
There's my
might
pick.
actually,
one of them. Yeah,
Smith maybe.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
But I do not believe that we are at a spot where this is going to be a committee. It has very clearly been Javonte Williams, and a big part of that is he's top 10 in rush attempts, top 10 in rushing yards, top 10 in rushing touchdowns, top 5 in targets. So he's getting passing game work as well. Top 10 in receptions, and he has 6 games over 17.5 fantasy points for this Dallas Cowboys offense. I thought coming into the season, I was so out on Javonte Williams. It was all pass catchers because I just thought their defense was going to be bad. They were going to have to throw a bunch. But not only is he involved in the passing game, he looks so much better as a rusher this year than he did in the last season. So I am all in on him. Shows no signs of slowing down in the second half of the season. Mike Clay, or is there signs of slowing down? What is the Dallas Cowboys' strength of schedule?
Yeah, the schedule is on the tougher side, but nothing that's unattainable. I mean, it does show 6 hardest. So,
but it's been hard so far.
It's been hard so far.
Been good.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not super worried about it. But I will say, who would have thought a running back needs to escape Sean Payton to really take his game to the next level? I mean, the efficiency was not good there last year, and maybe he really is just a year further out from the injury and has turned the corner. But the circumstances have worked out perfect for him. But again, that was always the sticking point with me. It was like, yeah, he has a path to potentially be a lead back, a lot of volume, a lot to like in this Dallas offense. But you're like, but he didn't do it last year.
Yeah.
And he had great opportunity behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, a good offense. So why is it going to work now? And it has worked. He's made the leap.
All right, so let's go to the other side of the coin here. And the player that I have, and I mentioned earlier very specifically, it's not that this player is seeing a serious spike in value, positive or negatively, but perhaps a little bit of a discount going forward.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson. And this one pains me because Wilson has probably punched above preseason expectations so far. But consider some of the upcoming matchups, assuming that Wilson is healthy coming out of the Jets bye. For whatever it's worth, Wilson, during the Jets bonus practice yesterday, was not on the field, at least when reporters were out there. So he's still nursing that knee situation. But his upcoming matchups include the Browns, who the numbers don't bear out that they have been dominant against wide receivers, but still a very good defense.
Yes.
The Patriots, who I can't recall the exact numbers here, Mike, but Christian Gonzalez is back.
He shadowed for the first time this season last week, and Jerry Jeudy, if you had him in your lineup, hopefully you didn't, because he had 0 catches.
Wow. So Christian Gonzalez confirmed awesome.
Yes.
Ravens, you like that matchup, even if they are trending in the right direction defensively.
Yeah, maybe not by then.
Yeah, by then we'll see, but it has not been great so far. The Falcons, who, yes, Darnell Mooney Jalen Waddle got the best of them this past week, but they have, for the much of the season, just been really, really good.
Correct.
And then finally the Dolphins, who Wilson and the Jets have already played once, as Mike has told us several times before, is that the Dolphins' numbers are a bit skewed by the fact that teams are just running the heck out of the ball against them. That being said, the Dolphins are still a team that, like, that might be the case in 5 weeks. Like, the Jets might just try to focus their offense through Breece Hall. And the Jets also, over the last 5 games, like, they've scored only 1 touchdown 3 of 5 times. So, like, it's just a low scoring offense in general. So Wilson, who probably right now is viewed when healthy as like a borderline wide receiver 1, might slide back into like mid-tier wide receiver 2 status.
I would agree with that. And it could help him if Tyrod Taylor takes over at quarterback, just because it's going to be, he'll still run, but not as much as Justin Fields. So there'll be a little bit more pass volume. It could be 6 to 8 more pass attempts per game.
And I think this last weekend bought Justin Fields some measure of time.
Another game. Although I was wondering if either way he might get one more look with that matchup against Cincinnati. I mean, I think you're right. I think he comes out of the bye and gets a start, but it might be
Cleveland,
a quick look.
But if they're playing the Browns, who...
Yeah, and he has 12 passing yards in the first half. We might see Tyrod in the second half.
Yeah.
However, it's the Cincinnati Bengals who have given up the most fantasy points to running backs. And I realize he's a quarterback, but like if he just does the thing that he does with his legs and just runs against the team.
That's why we ranked him as a starter last week, because he had the Bengals. I mean, as bad as it's been, it was a great matchup, and he delivered again.
He did. All right, Mike, what about you? Who are you having low on your list?
Yeah, my guy, this is
my first pick, just to be candid.
What's that?
Our producer came back to me. Christina said, "Hey, Mike, can you pick the same player?" And I said, "I'll pivot."
You had this guy
I like
first?
it.
Okay, yeah, it's an interesting name, because it feels like if you just mention this guy's name, you're like, oh, he's been pretty good so far, but not as good as you probably realize. J.K. Dobbins is a name on the list here. So 16.1 touches per game, but his best weekly finish is 14th so far. 121 yards last week, but it was against the Cowboys. So no surprise. We gave him a value boost in the matchup. He's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Terrific. That's been the trend throughout his career. He's an efficient runner. But he has 9 catches for 32 yards through the air this year. Hasn't cleared 10 yards in a single game. And all that has happened with the second easiest schedule for running back so far. Moving forward, it is hardest for running backs. So it's going to be tough. And also, as if it's not bad enough that it's hard going forward, in the fantasy playoffs, weeks 15 through 17, we'll say for the sake of this, the Packers, the Jags, and the Chiefs, they're all top 10 against running backs so far. So if you're counting on Dobbins moving forward, Bless you.
Thank you.
You don't get the passing game work.
Yeah.
Rushing is going to get harder, and he might be a liability during the fantasy playoffs. So Dobbins is a one. I mean, this might be your window. Either now or next time he has a decent game, make the change. But they're playing Houston this week. This is a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. So
also, I just would love for you to mention that the kicker goes from the 3rd easiest schedule to the 30th hardest schedule for the Denver Broncos.
Got to make a change if you have Will Lutz, apparently. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
2nd easiest schedule to 32nd. Like, is there a team that or a position that had as big of a gap as Broncos running backs did when you were looking
that
at
it would
is
be
the largest.
I think that would have to be
1
right?
to 32, so
Yeah,
or 1
there's,
to 30.
the only other one goes the opposite direction. It's the Ravens tight ends. They go from second hardest to easiest.
Okay.
Tight ends are always the tricky. That might be the most volatile one there because it depends on who the tight end is, but that's the one that jumps out.
Yeah. All right.
The most. Yeah.
That's some good insight.
He was my pick. It's a good answer by Mike all the way around.
All right. I was going to say Jerry Jeudy, but he's on a bye this week. So I didn't want to do that.
Also, Jerry
Might do a
Jeudy.
bye week
I was gonna
guy
say,
later.
How much lower can he go?
That's the whole thing. Well, again, I started from where we were at the beginning of the season to where we are now. Do I think things will change from here? So for me, I am looking at a guy that was a mid-tier wide receiver too with growth expectations in his sophomore season.
Okay. Oh, in his sophomore season. Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr.
And now he is a matchup-dependent, touchdown-dependent wideout who is Marvin Harrison Jr., unfortunately.
Fair.
Weeks in which he did not find the end zone this year.
Okay.
He's got 5 of them. Only one time did he top 7.8 fantasy points. He's just not getting volume. He's seen either 5 or 6 targets in 5 of his 6 healthy games. Ended up leaving one game early, obviously, with a concussion, unfortunately.
Yep.
But even this week, against the friendliest of defenses, the Arizona Cardinals play the Dallas Cowboys. Does Marvin Harrison Jr. crack your top 20 at the wide receiver position this week?
He does not.
So
21st.
almost means no.
Yeah.
So the answer that we're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and it's Marvin Harrison Jr., the former number 4 overall pick of the draft, and we don't even have him inside the top 20 at the wide receiver spot, and it's just because of the fact that there's no steady floor. I don't feel confident in a floor at all for Marvin Harrison Jr. You're hoping for boom weeks, you're hoping for big plays, you're hoping for touchdowns. So he's going to be a high upside flex play because of the fact he's playing the Dallas Cowboys. But, Mike, I want to ask you, does the second half of the season maybe give some schedule hope and optimism, or is it just all despair at this point?
It's not despair. It's neutral. So 7th easiest so far, mid-pack going forward.
7th easiest to mid-pack.
Yeah, so it's about the same, really. That's within the margin of error, so nothing to
I
sweat.
feel like Marvin Harrison Jr., we have already done this, but just for me to say it, like, we have fully changed our expectations as to who this player is for us in fantasy football.
Yeah.
You can no longer look at him through the rose-colored glasses of maybe he's going to take that step. He is who he is at this point.
Yeah, maybe someday he'll make that big leap.
Sure.
We've seen before. We've seen guys have a
new quarterback,
a couple of years. Devontae Adams
Devontae Adams is
probably
always the one we reference.
Yeah, maybe the best example. There's other guys too. I think Roddy White, I believe, was very similar. Didn't he start really slow? There's a few guys like that, but maybe he'll get there, but he's just not there yet.
2 things. You know, the big difference, obviously, people are always going to respond with, yeah, but Marvin Harrison Jr. was the 4th overall pick in the draft, right? Like, you expect a guy taken 4th overall to come out of the gates and be excellent right away. This is a thing kind of circling back to yesterday. We were talking about Michael Carter and roster gymnastics. And of course, Mike, you track this every single day because you are updating the projections literally every single day. And I wanted to just address this like a little bit because I said, hey, one of the logical explanations for why he was cut on Monday is you can avoid paying the active roster salary at the beginning of the week. That is like a thing that can happen with teams. I don't want to make it, I am not saying that the Cardinals did this thing, they were motivated exclusively by finances. The Cardinals brought back 2 players from IR yesterday. They designated them to return. It could be a simple roster gymnastics thing. Hey, we need 2 roster spots to get those 2 guys back up on the 53-man roster. On Monday, because they play a Monday game, they can elevate Michael Carter from the practice squad to the 53-man roster, which, by the way, if they do that, he gets the same check he would have gotten if he was on the 53-man roster the entire time. So I think Michael Carter will be made whole one way or another. But this time of the year, you see a ton of roster gymnastics with players coming back from IR and practice squad elevations. But
I've been
in the Cardinals case, it's probably a little bit more straightforward than I made it seem yesterday. Probably just we needed 2 roster spots. We're going to take care of that early in the week, and we'll figure out the roster later on in the week, as opposed to skirting a few $1,000.
Yeah, you know what I did for the projections when that news broke that he got cut? I did nothing.
Yeah. Nothing?
It's the exact same role I assumed he would play. So I think I texted you guys right after that and said probably roster gymnastics, right? So it's common.
Yep. So this stuff, it's just a funky time of the year. A lot of injuries teams are managing, but yes, I think we all expect him to be on the field on Monday night as a 53-man roster player, because if not, Bam might get 25 carries and 7 targets. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Again, the elevation would be due by 4 p.m. Eastern on Monday time. So it's not, they could do it any day, but it would be 4 p.m. Eastern time on Monday.
Yeah. Bam Knight, we already have inside the top 20. Feels like he would just get even more run here this week. So
maybe one more, but Trey Benson eligible to return after this week, but so you might get
we'll see.
Good matchup here. Good matchup for Bam Knight, and then perhaps off and running with Trey Benson, which I hope so, because I got him on waivers.
Fingers crossed.
Now. Last night I did. You got Tracy, I think, right? Did I say? Or no, Dan Graziano got Tyrone Tracy. We had 2 good running backs available on waivers.
Didn't Graz have Trey Benson?
He did. He cut him on Sunday for Bam Knight.
It was on the Michael Carter train. I've actually been talking with HR to see if we could cut Mike every Saturday, just to keep him on his toes, to be like, are you sure? Man.
You're going to cut me?
Every Saturday. Every Saturday we cut you and then bring you back on Sunday. Yeah.
You can only do that 3 times, though. Then you have to put me on the active roster. So
that's tough. I'm not sure you're active roster material, Mike. Let's do some stardom or sit 'em here for week 9.
Ooh, my FF Now team is shaping up right now. Let's go.
Sometimes it's really fun on Wednesday to look at your squad after waivers ran and you're like, did I get
bye week, when guys come back from bye weeks, because some of mine got devastated by buys last week. So I'm like, all right, no, I'm still good.
Amon-Ra and Rasheed Rice. Worth noting.
Yeah, your team is good.
Wow.
You're wheeling me in points. I'm still first in points, but I've lost 3 in a row.
Right there alone.
Malik Neighbors out for the year. Omarion Hampton's been banged up, and we're still doing
You're still doing it.
We are cooking with gas, baby.
You know who else has been cooking with gas lately, Field?
I have no idea.
That was a good segue, though.
Yeah, it was.
That was great.
We'll see.
3 of the last 4 weeks, Kyle Pitts has scored 13 or more fantasy points.
So this is our stardom. This is our
stardom or single. This is my
This
start.
can't be right. We're talking positively about Kyle Pitts.
I decided.
Is this a first on Fantasy Focus?
Do you remember when we wore the shirts?
Yes.
The Falcons shirts. It wasn't Kyle Pitts' fault.
Yes.
It wasn't. 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's had 13 or more fantasy points. 5 for 70 and a touchdown for 18 fantasy points in week 4. Went on a bye in week 5. Had, unfortunately, a dud in week 6. And then 7 for 62 on 10 targets in week 7. And 9 for 59 on 9 targets in week 8.
No Drake London.
We're going to continue to monitor Drake London's hip injury. Thank you for that, Mike Clay. And he obviously didn't play last week. So we'll see if he doesn't play this week. If there's no Drake London, we're expecting even more. 10 targets and 9 targets in each of the last 2 games. Like, if he's going to continue to get that kind of work, then I think that with where we're at with the starting tight end position, Kyle Pitts is someone you could potentially count on here in week 9 as a potential top 10 to 12 tight end. And I want you to look at this.
Okay.
I realize it's difficult when you look at teams who have faced tight ends. Field, you have said this, it's tough because it's like the tight end position is so all over the place.
2 good ones and all of a sudden
exactly
toast. Yep.
This is what the Patriots have done against tight ends so far this year. Harold Fannin, 18.4 fantasy points. That's good. Dalton Kincaid, 16.8 fantasy points. Brock Bowers, 15.3 fantasy points. Tommy Tremble, 15.2 fantasy points. David Njoku, 13.7 fantasy points. Mitchell Evans, 11.3 fantasy points. If I'm getting 11 or more fantasy points from the tight end spot, I'm feeling pretty good with the starting tight end that I have. Only the Cincinnati Bengals have allowed more games of 11 or more fantasy points to the tight end position than the New England Patriots, which is why we are back in on Kyle Pitts here in week 9, my friends.
All right, you convinced me there. My stardom of the week is Kamani Vidal, who I don't think this is a gigantic surprise for a lot of people, but just to kind of put a pen to, or kind of, just like explain how good and how effective he has been, at least in 2 of his 3 starts. We thought that when Omarion Hampton got hurt, we might see both Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal. Not really. And Haskins has been hurt since, so that definitely impacts things. But 67% of the snaps, 65% of the snaps, and 74% of the snaps over the past 3 weeks for Kamani Vidal. He has 100 or more rushing yards in 2 of those 3 games.
That's good.
They draw the Titans this upcoming weekend. They're bottom 8 in terms of holding opposing running backs off the board and fantasy points. Jim Harbaugh had some very nice things to say about Kamani Vidal. Joe Alt is back. The offensive line felt much more like itself yesterday. Last week, I should say, Mekhi Becton getting healthier as well. It's a good offensive line. Yes, Justin Herbert and this offense has been extremely pass-focused, but it wouldn't surprise any of us if they're up big in this game. Vidal is a top 15 running back play for me this week.
Love that.
I like it. I think he's kind of found his way into that number 2 job when Marion Hampton comes back. I'm sure he'll have a role. And that might be another month from now, but still.
We have no idea on Hampton. Yeah. And Stefania often reminds us of this, is that people hear you've been placed on IR. Oh, we'll see you after 4 games. No, it's 4 games minimum. Right. So it could be 6 games for Hampton. Who knows?
Yep. All right. My turn.
Yep.
This guy I almost used at the top of the show for a guy I have ranked higher than he's played at rest of season. But I'm pretty fired up to see what we get out of him this week. It's Travis Hunter.
Yes.
Almost was my pick as well.
Mine as well. I have
Travis Hunter.
Mike, I think you and I have him ranked pretty high this week.
Yeah, I'm at 35.
Oh,
and
okay.
honestly, that might be too low. Actually, you hear some of the reports right now. It's essentially that he might be the priority target going forward. We might be flip-flopping him and Brian Thomas soon, and that might be like, there's no way that's true. But remember, I mean, they actually invested more draft capital in Hunter than they did Thomas. So if he's a full-time
this regime
player,
that did that, right?
Yes, this regime. That's right. And frankly, Hunter is outplaying him right now, certainly based on what we saw in the most recent game before the bye. 13 targets, 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. All 4 of those are career highs. In fact, that was his first game over 9.4 fantasy points. He had 24.1. Most notably here, because obviously the big question with him is his usage. He was a full-time offensive player until garbage time. He didn't play any defense until the final drive or 2 of that game. On top of all that, a great matchup here against the Raiders. More on this tomorrow, but they've allowed the 4th most catches and fantasy points to receivers, as well as 9 touchdowns. So Travis Hunter is a guy who you can feel better about starting, and that was not the case a month ago.
It's a nice pick, but I'm the one that's 25th on Travis Hunter.
I was just
you're even higher than us?
You guys are at 33.
Are you ahead
35.
of Brian Thomas?
He is. Yes.
You have him ahead of time. It's got to be close.
I actually have him at 22. I have him,
you do?
I have him as wide receiver
lower.
22.
Wow.
Yeah, you're the lowest on him. Field, you do have, and maybe this is the thing, but like you do have Travis Hunter at 25 and you have Brian Thomas Jr. at 26.
Yeah, that sounds right
So
to
you're
me.
right there next to each other. And I think that's why I have them so close. I think I have them at 19 and 22. So like they're just, I think the gap has shrunk now and that we're going to see more of this.
Well, anyway, let me start over with a more negative outlook.
Yeah.
Travis. So guys, he's only got double-digit fantasy points 1 time.
There you go.
And you're ranking him that high?
That high? Are you kidding
Which
me?
honestly, there's some truth to that. I mean, there's a reason I'm hedging a little bit. I mean, he's not,
of course.
you know, we need to see it more than once, but I still think he's startable.
I'm leaning into the optimism and the matchup that you described.
I have him on a bunch
Raiders.
of teams. I'm pumped. I feel like now I have a potential flex option or a wide receiver 3 going forward, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
There's at least it's what you mentioned. Yeah, that's what I wanted to refer to. You said something about this isn't a guy that I think is going to go from like wide receiver 40 to wide receiver 8. Like Hunter could in theory. I mean,
that guy.
Make a short list of guys that could make that leap. I mean, we saw Brian Thomas
Jake
do it
Bobo.
last year.
Yes.
Nobody else
Travis
comes to
Hunter.
mind.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. That checks out. All right. I want to talk about some Vikings running backs. Jordan Mason's last 3 games. 16 for 56 and a touchdown for 12.6 fantasy points. 15 for 57 and a touchdown for 11.7 fantasy points. And then 5 for 6, no touchdowns, 1.6 fantasy points. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's scoring somewhere between like 5 and 7 points a game.
Does that mean that he has exactly 0 receiving yards on 2 catches over those last 3 games? Let me pull this up.
That's a great question. Why don't you pull that up while I do the rest of this?
You worry about that.
But he should be. We've talked about this. Fields has already mentioned this before. But right now, with the lack of pass catching ability in this offense, and Aaron Jones being back now as a part of this backfield, I believe that unless you think this is a good matchup where Jordan Mason is going to get in the end zone, he's probably not startable. I think he should be on benches here in week 9. Aaron Jones scored 5 fantasy points last week, played 53% of the snaps. He's the better of the 2 options because I do expect Detroit to be up in this game. Yes. I expect the game script to be a passing game running back is the one that you would
for
Jordan Mason. Exactly. So if there's one of these guys that you're going to start, it will be Aaron Jones. He is a flex option for me against the Detroit Lions, thinking you're just going to get some passing game usage. Couple things, though. Only 1 running back has topped 70 scrimmage yards against the Detroit Lions so far this year. Only 3 running backs have even reached 12 fantasy points against them. So if I'm going to pick one of these two running backs to do it, it's not Jordan Mason. It's going to be Aaron Jones through the air. I'm lowering expectations on both of them, and I have both of them outside my top 25 at the running back position here in week 9.
Yeah, Mason has been a major disappointment. Even with Aaron Jones for all but 2 games this season, he's been under 13 fantasy points in 6 of 7 games. Just
not great.
Not great.
We thought we'd get more touchdowns, more goal line work, and more rushing volume. It just hasn't happened.
I had him as a potential breakout after what he did starting the season last year for CMC, obviously got hurt. And then like coming to Minnesota, it was like, what happens if Aaron Jones either gets banged up or misses time, because that's happened, and he's a little bit of an older running back. And it just didn't materialize into that production we were hoping for.
If you don't have the passing down work at all, it just crushes your.
It's really tough.
It's just it can't bail you out and give you like, okay, bad rushing day, but still got 8 or 9 points. I could deal with that. But you're getting like, what did he get last week? Less than a point. He had 6 yards last week.
1.6 fantasy points. Yeah, it was not good.
7 total receiving yards over the last 3 games.
Yikes.
Yep, super touchdown dependent.
All right. What about you? Who are you sitting, Field?
I am sitting, and again, no major surprise here, Tony Pollard, who coming into the season, maybe the hope was lots of volume. He was top 10 in touches last year. But over the last 3 games, with Tajay Spears getting healthier, he's played 4 games total, but 3 games where he's been a real factor.
Yep.
Tony Pollard has been under 60% of the snaps in each of the last 3 games. He was hovering around 80+% of the snaps at the beginning of the season. 44 or fewer rushing yards and 0 finishes inside the top 20 for Tony Pollard. He has just one of those all season. I'm not sure there's anybody on the Titans offense you want any piece of in fantasy right now. Just an incredibly low ceiling because they don't score points. So I am out on Tony Pollard. I'm not sure that's going to change going forward.
You said under 60% of the snaps in each of the last 2 games?
3
games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Titans' second hardest schedule going forward as well. So it's going to be a challenge. You have to hope at some point they give Tajay Spears more and more work. He's coming off a good game. It's very possible, but right now
9 carries was a season high for Tajay Spears last week.
Yeah. By the way, do you think they trade Calvin Ridley?
I mean, it would be open to
with all these young receivers.
Yes.
I feel like they should.
I think they
traded Roger McCreary, so they're and by the way, they traded him with a shorthanded cornerback room. So that tells you they're looking to the future.
I think the Titans could do it. Something along the lines of this is it's a lot of money for the rest of the season for Calvin Ridley for a team that will be acquiring him. And most of the teams that are acquiring him are good teams. Good teams usually are low on cap space because they have a lot of good players, right? I could see it being one of those where a team acquires Calvin Ridley and the Titans pay down much of his salary for the rest of this season.
Sure.
If you could have Calvin Ridley for $3 million for the rest of the year, you might be enticed. If you have to pay $6 million for the rest of the year or $10 million for the rest, I don't know what exactly half of his base salary is. That's a
The hard part is, too, like, I don't know how to think like a billionaire, where it's like, what is $10 million this year, but I get to maybe win a championship?
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean to me? I don't know.
Let me pull up his
That's a tough quantifiable.
Also, it's tricky because it's been a rough year, and last year we saw 2 teams trade for veteran receivers, and it did not go particularly well with DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper in Buffalo, who barely played. So we'll see.
So
but I kind of,
wow.
it feels like it makes a lot of sense.
It's way more than that. So his base salary is $22.5 million right now, which means that if he gets traded at the trade deadline, take that number and divide it in half. 11.25. You'd have to have $11.25 million in cap space, and also you have to pay him that cash for the rest of this season.
That's going to be tough.
I don't think anybody wants to pay him $11.25 million, but if the Titans said, hey, we'll pay $8 million of that $11.25 million, you're on the hook for the remaining $3.25. I could see
get a
something
little
getting
more
done.
draft capital to do that.
You know what's amazing is we open up the it's so funny how you open up the Google and you just search Calvin Ridley contract, and the first thing that pops up, either it's AI or we've lost the plot here. This is from, I don't even know what this network is. Oh, the Titans are trading Calvin Ridley to the Green Bay Packers 16 hours ago.
Yeah, this is all. Yeah, it's just fake stuff now. That's the internet now. You really can't trust anything.
Good.
Yeah, I see that stuff all the time. I keep seeing AJ Brown ones. It's been traded. It's nonsense.
It's so frustrating. Can I really quickly, just while we're here, we took a detour into the trade deadline cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys if you felt like, is there a better chance that Calvin Ridley or Breece Hall gets moved at the trade deadline? Because I feel like those are the 2 names that we kind of keep coming back to in fantasy football.
Probably neither.
That's not the question.
I know, but Breece Hall, they just had their best game of the season, their only good game of the season. He was amazing. they're probably going to keep him.
Yeah, it's so tough. It's even like Jerome Ford makes a lot of sense, but now Judkins is hurt. So it's like all these guys, there's so many reasons why.
Was Devontae Adams a trade deadline trade last year, or was that just a...
No, he hurt his hamstring, right?
Oh, that's right. He hurt his hamstring. I remember that.
By the way, can we agree that, like, especially when we're ranking or evaluating them for fantasy, Calvin Ridley and Jerry Jeudy, just the same guy?
Yes.
It's the same guy.
Yes.
Spider-Man, man.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Do you want my sit for the week?
Yeah. I guess.
Another running back that's not living up to the hype.
Probably Jalen Warren.
Bill Krosky-Merritt.
Told you guys last week.
What, you told us what?
He did.
I was like, I faded Bill last week.
It was a good call by Field.
Yeah, but it's not just last week. It's 3 in a row, under 6 fantasy points in 3 straight games. We saw the big game. That's where we were like, here we go. Austin Eckler was out. He had the 27-point game with 2 touchdowns in week 5. But since then, guys, so in that game, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 27 fantasy points.
That's great.
Last 3 games, they combined 125 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 12.5 fantasy points. Not good. They play Seattle this week. It looks like a neutral matchup, but it is very, very bad for Bill Krosky-Merritt, and here's why. They're allowing an NFL low 3.0 yards per carry and just 2 touchdowns to running backs, but they've allowed the most catches to running backs.
That's the opposite of what his game is,
That's
Mike.
Exactly right. He's yet to clear 2 targets in a game, has a total of 6 yards on 4 targets the last 3 weeks. So this is if anything, a Jeremy McNichols game. It is not a Chris Rodriguez game or a Bill Krosky-Merritt game, so he should be very much on bench.
Yeah, and the other fundamental change for Washington this year compared to last year and compared to what our preseason expectations probably were is that they're not very good.
Yeah.
They're 3-5 right now, and they're staring 3-6 right in the face on Sunday Night Football against the Seahawks. If they get back on track and Jaden, who has magic within him, just make them a winning football team, then Bill Krosky-Merritt stands to benefit. Like they whooped the Chargers a few weeks ago. But if they're more like the team we've seen of late, then it's a problem.
Not feeling great either way, but unfortunately, Field, you had a great call on this last week. Mike, love that for this week. Unfortunately, we just got to find a way to get the ball in his hands in the passing game. Can we just...
Not going to happen.
They're not doing it.
It's just not a thing.
Not going to happen.
All right. I'll stop trying to make it happen then, guys. Let's go ahead and dive into some bounce back candidates here.
Okay.
And like maybe looking at this, we can look at rest of season strength of schedule as well. Mike Clay, who brought Lamar Jackson to the table?
I did. Did we? I have two of the 4 names we're going to talk about. I brought to the table. So
all right.
There was some overlap.
I brought one to the table. Do you have one to the table here as well?
I do. Yes.
All right.
Oh, you brought. Oh,
yeah.
Did I break the rules?
No. But there was probably some overlap, which is why you're
okay. Well, Lamar Jackson was on my list. Look, I know to some extent that this is kind of obvious. If Lamar Jackson is healthy, of course he's going to be terrific. But I wanted to do 2 things here.
Okay.
We're going to talk about how good he has been so far when he's played this season, because his 3 full games, 29.4 points, 26.3, 27.0. Guys, he averaged 24.8 last year.
Wow.
Okay. So he's actually been above that
Confirmed
in all 3 games so far. He led the NFL in passing touchdowns with 9.
Yes.
He was second in rushing yards through week 3. And on top of all that, just establishing, we haven't seen him for a month. He's awesome. The Ravens quarterbacks go from the hardest schedule so far to the 5th easiest moving forward.
Wow.
And on top of that, the Ravens have 2 wins. They are in. This isn't like, hey, sometimes you see quarterbacks that are very good that kind of can coast a little bit. Josh Allen won't run as much, things like that.
Foot off the pedal, right?
They cannot. They have to have the foot all the way down, to use your reference, all the way. I mean, they have to win. They have to at least get to over 500 to make the playoffs, and then anything goes. So there's a lot to love about Lamar Jackson, and I don't know if you have more of a buy low window than you do right now. If he comes back in his one more big game, it's status quo. So if you can get him,
Mike,
now's the chance.
This strength of schedule is great. I'm looking at this right now on our screen. Ravens quarterbacks go from 32nd hardest to 5th easiest.
Well, hardest.
Yes, hardest. Running backs go from hardest as well, 32nd to 16th. So now mid-pack for Derrick Henry. Forget about it for wide receivers. It's basically a wash. Tight ends go from 31st to 1st. And then the defense even goes from 30th hardest to the 3rd easiest schedule. Ravens just have an easy schedule basically across the board.
Yeah, I mean, and we kind of knew that. You look at their schedule to open the season, it was like good offense, good offense, good offense, good. So it's been a challenge, and it lightens up a lot going forward.
All right, maybe the buy low window for all Ravens options here this week.
Yep.
Do
it by Thursday then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Miami. Yeah.
Have we heard anything new on Bucky Irving recently?
Nope. Nothing.
Okay.
And I have no idea. Yeah. But
right.
they are on a bye this week, so he won't play.
Won't play.
He's on my list anyway.
Is he?
Yeah,
All right. Well, then tell us.
You want me to go again?
Yeah, why not? Let's go back to back.
Bucky Irving, he faces bye this week, so
Yes.
you can't. You're not going to start him.
Not starting him this week,
guys. Look, again, very similar to Lamar Jackson. I wanted to reestablish again how good he was, because I feel like it was kind of quiet. It was kind of the status quo out of the gate, but he was very good. 18.0 fantasy points per game during those 4 games, at least 13.9 in all 4. So if you had him in your lineup, you felt really good about that. A lot of volume, 17.8 carries per game, and 4+ targets in all 4. He caught every one. He got all 19 of his targets to open the season. And of course, this is the strength of schedule aspect here. Bucs running backs go from 8th hardest so far to 10th easiest going forward. That includes the Dolphins and the Falcons during the fantasy playoffs. Both have struggled against running backs this season. So Bucky Irving, again, you're looking at it's always this roller coaster of value with players. Right now, it's down with Bucky Irving, especially with the uncertainty. But we do expect him back at some point. I guess there's still some risk there because we don't know for sure, and it's a little bit mysterious. But when he comes back, he should be in a really good spot.
Yeah, that Bucks. I mean, going from 25th hardest schedule to 10th easiest, seems really nice.
And if you buy, these, if you're looking at this chart, it's very hard for the passing game.
Passing game looks
hardest
difficult.
For Baker, hardest for the wide receivers.
Yeah. It's been hard all year.
It's been hard, and it's even harder going forward.
Yeah. All right. By the way, your chart looks like a gigantic Christmas tree.
The red and green with everything.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, but if you're colorblind, can you see it okay?
I can see it okay, but I am not. No, I am colorblind. But these ones that you chose are okay.
Yeah. We do that intentionally. We're very aware of colorblind, but the numbers are on there too. So
did I ever tell you that? Like growing up, my mom had no idea that I was colorblind.
Yes. No, why? No, sorry.
She had no idea.
Okay.
I went to basic training. I had to do like the test, and they were like, "Tell us the numbers in the circles."
Oh, that. Yeah.
And I was just like, "There's just a bunch of dots. What are you talking about?" And they were like, "Oh no, this is a problem." And my mom was like, "This makes so much sense now because you looked like an idiot when you went to high school. Every day your clothes didn't match. You'd wear like blues and blacks and browns and all these colors that don't fit each other."
Now
I got a Rosie at home that figures it out for me now. That's why. So, but thank you for being this guy for all the colorblind people in our lives, making sure we can still see your chart. That's right.
You're a sensitive guy, Mike.
That's right.
All right, I'm up next here. If we could we pull up the Vikings and how their matchups have been so far?
Oh,
and
let's
what they
check
look like
that
going
out.
forward.
Yeah.
Check this out.
Yeah.
To trademark Mike Clay.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
you make your own video?
That'll be fun.
I did not.
You're not allowed to say that phrase unless you.
Oh, is it
have
like
a video?
Have your
video. There's like a registered trademark next to it. Yeah.
Let's seriously. Can we? There we go.
There we go.
So the Vikings, you may notice, up to this point, have had the 22nd ranked schedule for wide receivers. Going forward, they have the easiest schedule.
They sure do.
Number 1. So does this bode well for Justin Jefferson, who has not been a bust this year, but has not been this like nuclear wide receiver a la Puka Nacua or Jackson Smith and Jigba or Jamar Chase, right?
Yep.
There is a mitigating factor here, which is that Carson Wentz is now out for the rest of the season, and Carson Wentz has proved that he can make Justin Jefferson what we need him to be. Like that 10 for 126 game is awesome. And last week in the first half alone, Justin Jefferson had over 13 fantasy points. J.J. McCarthy is back now, and I expect J.J. McCarthy to be the starter for the rest of the season for Minnesota. If he's really good, then Minnesota not only gets back on track, but the pick was justified, the 10th overall selection, the decision to let Sam Darnold walk. It was all justified. If he's not good, then we got some problems up there in Minnesota, not just in real life, but also probably for Justin Jefferson. But we are hopeful that J.J. McCarthy, here's where I think I have a little bit more optimism compared to where he was at the beginning of the season, is there's no longer a specter of Carson Wentz hanging over J.J. McCarthy's head. Max Brosmer, their backup quarterback now, undrafted free agent out of Minnesota, actually. I'm just not convinced that Minnesota, if J.J. struggles, is going to pull the plug to play Max Brosmer.
Field, am I totally wrong here? It felt like Carson Wentz was like borderline unable to play, and they didn't want to put that backup quarterback on
that's
the
been
field.
quite the popular subject up there on the Minnesota Twitter streets. No, there's been a lot of talk of soft benching, and I think the Vikings media has kind of rallied against that and been like, no, like he just wasn't healthy enough, right? So the messaging, at least from the Vikings media and then in the Vikings themselves and national reporters, has been that JJ just isn't quite ready yet. I'm taking them at their word on that. But now going forward, if JJ struggles, they don't have the Carson Wentz card to play. Like if he struggles, but they hang in there and they're 5-6 after week 12, then you might say, let's try to go to Carson Wentz and see if he can't help us stay afloat in the playoff race with JJ's current struggles. Now, if that's the case, like I just think they're going to play JJ McCarthy going forward. Hopefully that gives them a bit more confidence and peace of mind. Keep in mind at the very beginning of the season, right? Week 1, he has one good quarter. Week 2, he has a baby that week. Yep. Like the guy becomes a dad and he goes into a game on a short week. Like maybe JJ is just set up for better success going forward. And that would mean good things for Justin Jefferson, who by no means has been bad, but there's a chance that we get Justin Jefferson back to the moon.
Feels like he's set up for success going forward because his strength of schedule gets easier too, right?
Hey, Jefferson?
Number one.
No. Yeah, JJ McCarthy. Yeah,
we were saying
it's
one of the easiest as well. But
Yeah.
Looking at more closely at the specifics of Jefferson's schedule,
Hit me.
It is very light. He doesn't have any hard games. The hardest is 17th easiest. So it's like mid-pack is the toughest.
Wow.
You look at Lions, Ravens, who we talked about, are struggling. Maybe they'll be better. Chicago, Green Bay has not been good against them. Seattle's, that's, I think, the toughest one. That's a mid-pack. Washington, they've struggled. Dallas, now we're getting to the fantasy playoffs.
Wow.
The Giants, which you could see Paulson Adebo that week, but where Giants have been bad against receivers. And then with everything on the line in week 17, if that's your championship, it's the Lions again, who, you know, they might be healthier a corner by then, but they're going to have to throw against them a lot. And if you're playing to week 18 even, it's the Packers. There's nothing harder than 17th easiest. So going forward, this passing game is at least set up for success. We'll see if they can deliver on it.
There is nothing harder than 17th easiest is a sentence I'm still trying to figure out right now.
17th.
You know, I'm not a big math guy myself, so
5th
just leave it
easiest,
be, you know.
10th easiest,
Okay,
15th
okay,
easiest,
okay, all right,
17th
there you go.
easiest,
All right, got
down
it.
the list.
Okay.
You guys got to stop saying big words and
17th
sentences
hard, or,
on the show.
What did Liz say again yesterday?
She said too many.
Proclivity.
Yes.
Proclivity?
Yes.
Okay.
You've
Is that
got
big
a
word?
proclivity to say dumb stuff on this show, Mike. Did I use it right?
No, you didn't. 'Cause I don't.
Yes.
What dumb stuff?
I think I used it right.
One of them guys?
Yeah, one of you
Oh,
guys.
okay. I talk
Use
weird.
guys.
Yeah. Hey,
Yes.
Schuylkill
Check
County,
this out.
Pennsylvania.
Wooder.
Can we talk
I
about
wish you don't say Wooder.
No, you don't say
Our
word.
director, Brian, say does.
I say enough weird.
That's
He's a good Delco guy.
That's a Baltimore, Maryland thing. The worder.
I thought Wooder was Delco, right? Isn't that like Philly area?
Yeah, they're all in that same.
It
Like,
is.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is. For some reason, I just didn't catch that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No big deal.
People actually, they're like, you're from Massachusetts. Why don't you have a Boston accent? I've just trained myself. Like growing up, I would just park the cat, have it. Yeah. No, my mom's from Ohio. My dad's from Hawaii. I have no Boston accent.
Like that just
whatsoever.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Never happened. Yeah.
That's
What do you
so
got?
good.
I have a couple observations after this.
Okay.
After a bye in week 8,
Okay.
if you remember in week 7, Sam Laporta had a tough outing. 3 catches for 15 yards.
Yeah.
I see a bounce back coming this week for Sam Laporta. And one of the reasons why it's not just Sam Laporta, it's also going to be Brock Bowers and Trey McBride because they didn't get to play last week
Okay.
on National Tight End Day.
Hey.
Sad.
So here we go. Now heading into week 9 against the Minnesota Vikings. If when you look at what Sam Laporta has done, 20 fantasy points in week 5, 16.5 fantasy points in week 6. 4.5 in week 7. It was unfortunately a dud there after finding the end zone in back-to-back games, and I feel like this is going to be another one of those situations. We've watched how have the Lions been utilizing their offensive stars so far this year. It is Amon-Ra, it is Jahmyr Gibbs. Both David Montgomery and Jameson Williams have kind of fallen to the wayside based on what our expectations were, and Sam Laporta has, even though it hasn't always been fantastic, he's kind of found that spot as like the number 3 option in this offense ahead of, I think, those other 2 guys. So
Okay.
He's are you still on Laporta?
you're going to disagree?
I'm not like, Sam's awesome. The offense is awesome.
Yeah.
It just feels to me like I have a hard time stamping that like anybody not named Amon-Ra or Jahmyr Gibbs is a weekly staple.
Yeah, I mean, he can't be. He's annoying me. He has 3 top 5 fantasy weeks. He's been outside the top 20 every other week so far this season. And guys, the targets aren't there. Remember, he had that slow start last year, and then he picked it up, 7.2 targets per game going forward. And then he was really solid in fantasy. That was over a 9-game stretch, including the playoffs. This year, he hasn't cleared 6 targets in a game since week 2.
Yeah.
It's a big dip in usage, and it's been problematic, and it's led to he's been one of the most boom bust players in fantasy.
Right.
Are you not starting? So here's the hard part for me.
You're starting him, of course. I'm just saying, like, what I don't think is that territory of tight ends at the very top, where it's like you don't have this guy's going to play, and you expect like 12 fantasy points a week, no problem.
That's not him anymore.
You know, Trey McBride, hopefully Brock Bowers, George Kittle, those types where you're like, those guys are not just like their competitive advantages week in and week out.
Yep.
Sam Laporta will be in some weeks for sure.
Yes.
I'm not sure he will be in other weeks. Like, and I just can't blame them for what they do offensively. They're an absolute wagon. And if it's the Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs show, and some weeks there's some Sam Laporta, sometimes there's some JMO who apparently like barely ever catches the ball anymore.
Crazy.
Monty has some weeks. Khalif Raymond has some plays. Like,
yeah, people get mad. People get mad at us. Sometimes I'll tweet something about that. It's clearly a fantasy tweet, right? Like the frustrations with Sam Laporta, and they'll be like, "Who cares about fantasy? Our team's winning." Like, yeah, we know we're complaining about fantasy. We're clearly talking about the Lions are doing anything wrong. That's fine, but it's still annoying to us.
Sam Laporta, anytime touchdown, plus 185 at ESPN Bet. I'm telling you guys this week, Sam Laporta finds his way in the end zone.
I love that.
Okay,
great. Right. Observation from this sheet.
Okay.
Great article. Really tremendous job. I love it. This is another reason why you're indispensable. I thought the most interesting one, and again, it's not going to move the needle in terms of whether you are playing this player or not, but it at least introduces the potential for would you trade this player, which right now seems like a ridiculous idea.
Okay.
Can we pull up the Chiefs page there for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Who has the hardest strength of schedule amongst quarterbacks for the rest of the season?
One
answer?
Patrick? Yeah. Go ahead. I thought you were asking.
Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
How about that? Mahomes goes from 10th to 32nd going forward. Is Patrick Mahomes not going to be a starter? No, of course he's going to be a starter. But if you have Patrick Mahomes, who's currently quarterback 1, potentially dipping down to like quarterback 5, you could orchestrate a really interesting maneuver right now. There might be somebody out there that would say, I will give you my Jaden Daniels plus something for your Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is a tough slate. Starts this week with the Bills, then they have the bye.
Yep.
Then they go and play Denver on the road.
Yep.
Then they have Denver again, by the way, during championship week 17 is also Denver. But anyway, after it goes Bills, bye, Denver, then the Colts, then Dallas, which is, we love that one for sure.
Yeah, he might.
That's the only light matchup on here, though, because then you have Houston, then you have the division game against the Chargers, and then you go to face Tennessee, who they haven't had to throw. No one's had to throw against the Titans, and especially then when they're, so that might not be the big late game, throwing a lot in the second half, scrambling a lot. And then I mentioned Denver. So, and Raiders week 18 if you play then. So, yeah, this is it's a lot tougher now.
I got to ask this question. If the Chiefs win this weekend at Buffalo, go into their bye, come back, beat the Broncos, then beat the Colts, like, do we just book hotels for them in Santa Clara at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Although, I mean, your Lions at that point last year were like, they're going to the Super Bowl, and then everyone got hurt.
I'm just saying, like,
but
man,
injuries
like,
aside, yes.
If you're the Colts and you're the Broncos, like, and you're smelling some blood right now, that they both have at least a game in hand over Kansas City. If you don't take care of business, then like, oh boy, you might regret going to Arrowhead in the playoffs.
Game in hand is better than 2 in the bush, though.
I think that's true. Yes. One other piece of news, Isaiah Pacheco now banged up. He got hurt late in that game, and it looked really bad at first. And then he ended up like bouncing back up to the training table, and everybody was like, oh, he's made out of rubber bands. Sounds like he might be iffy for this week. Get ready to speak Kareem Hunt, people. And maybe
he's out of the
Rashard
projections.
Smith.
I pulled Pacheco. Whenever a team says a player is week to week instead of day to day, I pull them out. Yes, I always pull them out. I mean, unless there's some reason not to, but yeah, that's code for me because I'd say 98% of the time that player's out that week. So
I
pulled him
expect
out.
this to be 60% Kareem Hunt at least, maybe 40% Rashard Smith.
Yeah, Rashard Smith should be the passing down back. Not that they target the running backs a ton, but he should handle that with because Pacheco's kind of held it. It's been Rashard Smith with a little edge to Pacheco in passing, and the passing and Kareem Hunt not really involved, and that included last year when Pacheco was out.
Can I really quickly? I want to talk one nerdy strategy thing. Trigger warning for all the nerds out there.
Okay.
When you're going, Mike, that's you specifically. When we're looking at trades, you're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. You said his bye is coming up next week.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough that I think is a really valuable thing to do is for you to look at quarterbacks. If you're going to make a move, who's already had their bye, and can you trade a player that has yet to have their bye for a player that has already had their bye, so you're not missing any playing time whatsoever.
Dude, I got something to tell you guys. I actually made this trade in the war room, and it's not that the trade has been the reason why my team is now 4-4 and has lost 2 straight games, but the exact benefit you're talking about was like part of my calculus.
That was part of it.
Like, what the heck, man? I traded for Caleb Williams post bye. It was my Brock Purdy and Wan'Dale Robinson for his.
There you go. That's what we're talking about.
So Brock hasn't played then, so I would have been searching for, and it's a 16-team league, so I would have been digging amongst the pile of like, I don't even know who. Like, truly, it's like a lot of teams have backup quarterbacks as well. So it's like Mac Jones. It would have been like Mac Jones. It would have been maybe
a Dylan Gabriel.
Maybe I wouldn't go that low. But yeah, Michael Penix.
Okay.
Tua, who was great last week, but of course with Tua, it's up and down, right?
Yep.
So yeah. Anyways,
didn't
Caleb.
work out.
We'll talk more about Caleb tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable matchup.
Chicago's second easiest schedule for quarterback so far, and it goes to fourth easiest. So it's still light going forward, but he also has underwhelmed a little bit.
Okay, can I pump the brakes on like maybe it just took that long in this new Ben Johnson offense for him to get there, and now we're excited that fourth easiest still the rest of the way. There's some reason for optimism,
Of
hopefully.
course, he adds value with his legs, so of course there is.
Yeah.
There's definitely potential, but he needs to get cooking here in a hurry,
Yes.
at least for our purposes in fantasy football.
Agreed.
All right.
All right. Mike Clay gets to spin the wheel. As a reminder, do we have our starts of the week from last week by any chance?
Well, the important part is that Liz Loza lost, and Mike is spinning in her place. Right?
Yes.
He's doing her a solid. I didn't lose. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So we look at it. Actually, the hilarious thing, if you guys did not remember,
You crushed us. Nice job.
thank you very much,
Really
guys.
well done by you.
Aaron, we look at this. Aaron Rodgers for Mike Clay, both. Mike Clay and Field.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco for both Mike and Field.
Yep.
Kate Otten for both Mike and Field. So it was really just down to which wide receiver came out on top. Field had Alec Iomanner. Mike had Darnell Mooney.
Disappointed me in a big way. I thought Calvin Ridley might come back last week, but so
I had three players that scored more than 19 fantasy
You
points.
went off, King. Let's go.
Holy smokes.
Who's Brown? I don't even know who that is.
Hollywood. No.
It's not AJ, right?
Brown.
That's a great question. Well, they did something for me.
It was a wide receiver or running back?
I don't remember.
That wasn't Chase Brown, right? There.
No, there's
that was your
yeah, it
receiver.
was
that was Chase Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, who was your?
Oh my gosh.
His running back.
And I had Troy Franklin as my wide.
okay.
Anytime you can trust Troy Franklin,
got it.
we always do that here on the show. So
Yes, anytime. Yeah, nailed it. Nice job. All right, I deserve this one.
Yeah.
I still
All
have
right.
to pay off last week's, by the way. So you guys.
yes.
Oh, the helmet.
Yeah, we got to double up
Maybe we
here.
could do 2 for 1 here.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
find Shaq's like Pop Warner football helmet.
Yep. Yeah, we do with my giant.
All right, we got to spin here
All that
from Mike
knowledge.
Clay. Spin, spin, spin. And we're going to land on Start of the week
with an
accent.
Okay.
All right, we get to
Delco accent?
choose the accent
I don't
that
know.
Mike is going to do as starts of the weekend. It
Wait.
landed dangerously close to Ice Bath.
Aussie,
which-
Aussie.
I'm not doing the ice bath.
Yes,
which
you
I will.
you
quit
might.
I will
You will
quit.
pay your way out of it.
You might.
Oh, ice bath. Whoa.
All right,
Oh,
just,
it's
I have
crazy.
one request for this. Do not get me canceled. That's all I
Okay,
ask.
that's it.
Thank you. All right.
I'll tell you what. You're as long as you don't do a prospector accent and
Yeah.
take it from me, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
So,
no, you
forgot
nailed that. That was
Yeah.
good.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
I'm not good at that. I can't tell the
You do
difference between
accents.
Australian
I
and
will
British.
I will be horrific at this. So I don't know what it's
That's
going to be.
great.
but
That's
it's not
exactly
gonna go
what
well.
we're looking
It
for.
will not.
Fantastic.
What would be your preferred option?
I don't know. I don't even have an answer.
British? That's fairly straightforward.
Mike wants to
Italian, Di Mercado.
That's pretty good right
That's it.
there. Tyrod Taylor must
Yeah,
start
there-
quarterback for this week.
Yeah, that's all I could do.
I
Probably.
would love to see your ASL accent and like see how you're going to deliver.
You know what that is?
It's
American Sign Language.
Oh,
gosh.
got it. Okay. Yes. All right.
Jeez.
I don't know anything.
I mean, it's not your fault, Mike.
I mean, I'm not.
your
It's
fault.
not like I'm hiding it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's dive into a couple of questions here before we get out
No,
of
pass.
the show. Very excited to figure out what we're going to do for Mike's 2 punishments, though. A reminder, our friend Eric Moody hanging out in chat. Follow him on social media at Eric N. Moody. The first question that we have from our mailbag comes from... Just a moment. It comes from Just Call Met.
Just call me T.
Just call me
Higgins?
T.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I'm assuming
guessing.
that's how we're reading it.
Just call me
T.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Just call me. I don't know.
Who knows? George Pickens, T. Higgins,
Okay.
or Tetaroa McMillan this week? Pick one.
Probably Pickens,
Yeah,
right?
Pickens or McMillan.
Yeah, I have Pickens ahead of McMillan. Tetaroa facing in Green Bay,
Yeah.
which it's not like they've been great. They have some issues at corner, or like you're not really scared of their cornerback situation, but Pickens is a tough one because I do have him in FF now, and I'm like, I'm in a position where he, in theory, should be on my bench because I have Metcalf, I have McConkey,
Go ahead.
I
Yep.
have
Yeah.
Nakua, I have
good
3
team.
running backs. I have a running back to go in the flex, so I only start 2. But I'm like, how do I bench this guy? He's been so good. So he's a tricky one for sure, but I think he is your best option here going up against Arizona.
I think so too. That's where I would go.
Yeah, me too. Pickens.
All right. Next question that we have from our YouTube chat comes from RM wants to know Oronde Gadsden or Brock Bowers.
Two guys that were just superstars as rookie tight ends in the NFL.
Can we just go both and flex one of them?
Yeah, ideally. I'm going to go Bowers. If Bowers is active, he's an auto start, if you ask me. By the way, Oronde, as good as he has been, he was very quiet in the second half last week, and I think they might be a little motivated to get Quentin Johnson going a little bit this week. But a good matchup against the Raiders across the board, so I think they're both startable, but I would go Bowers.
I wonder if they just show each other the ultimate sign of respect and jersey swap after the game. If Bowers is like, hey man,
I've
been a huge fan of yours for a month.
Yeah.
Can I please have your jersey as the best tight end in the NFL?
That's so funny. All right, let's do one more. I would also go with Brock Bowers. It's tough. I mean, how do you not play Brock Bowers but by the way, if you've got Oronde Gadsden and Brock Bowers, and Brock Bowers is fully healthy, not only is your team awesome, but maybe see if you can make a move for a tight end starved team and maybe help yourself as well once Bowers is back.
That's another guy, by the way, I would be trying to trade for right now.
Brock Bowers?
Yeah. Again, it's always about where value is. It's not going to be any lower than it is now.
Where it's at right now? That's fair.
It's on IR, obviously.
All right, we got one more question here from our YouTube chat. This one comes from Case Jones Jr. wants to know Addison, Moore, or Quentin Johnston in my flex.
Going forward, I think it's
Hughes Jones Jr.
No, I think you should try to intentionally read it as poorly as possible. QS Jones Jr.
That's what it was? Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Quest Jones Jr. is my
I've got PTSD right now from the last time that things happened when I almost got canceled.
What happened?
When you got Bart Simpson?
No.
Yeah.
Yes. Michael Penix wrote in a joke and had a thing for me to have to
We haven't heard from Mai in a while.
No, it's been a minute.
Do you think Mai still is in the chat or no?
Probably still in chat.
Okay.
Probably. Let's hope so.
Anyway, guys, I have these ranked 31st, 32nd, and 33rd. Not even joking.
Are you serious?
Really?
Yeah, it's Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, DJ Moore. I have them in that order.
I land on Addison personally, but it's close.
I have him highest against the Lions. He should have to throw it a lot, but I have second. He has a good matchup against the Titans, and then DJ Moore against the Bengals. You're going to have a Dunze shadow by DJ Turner, more on that tomorrow, but they've struggled otherwise against receivers. So secondary receivers is who's gotten the job done against the Bengals this year, and that would be DJ Moore. So three good options. Pick your poison.
Love it. Great show today, guys.
Hey.
We got to figure out how we're going to get Mike to pay off 2 punishments by the end of the week. We'll have to figure some things out.
And do an accent.
Actually,
at the same time.
This
is good because I'm wearing a helmet and I do the accent and it's offensive. Then
you know what?
No one will know who it is.
No. I just figured it out. What?
I was saying, how about I just do one spin and whatever it lands on, you pay off.
Yeah.
Rather than 2 punishments.
We'll take the 2 punishments and make it 1 pun. Oh, it's on Ice Bath. That's amazing. Incredible.
It depends what it is.
Oh my God. Wow. Nope. Ice Bath again.
Do you do like a Bobby Boucher? Could you wear a helmet and do the Adam Sandler accent at the same time, right? It wasn't that Bobby Boucher? Was that right?
I'm Bobby Boucher.
Maybe,
yeah. Maybe you should watch Waterboy. See if you can. We can pay off both of them.
That was.
A little throwback.
We used to make cinematic masterpieces.
Yeah, those movies were
used to be
good.
I just watched Invincible yesterday, Mike.
Yeah,
it was just
that's
amazing.
a little different.
Are you Mike Clay?
Very
Mike watches
different.
that every Saturday night.
He does to get
for
pumped.
Sundays. Yeah,
say that. Oh, that's so fun. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Today's show was presented by Little Caesars. Don't forget to come back and hang out with us tomorrow. And don't forget to love each other. Be kind to yourself. We'll see you guys on Thursday.